All right, let's jump right in. We hear constantly about how AI models are trained on these just massive, unbelievable amounts of data. But what if the real game changer isn't just about training them to know more, but training them to learn better? Today, we're diving into the pretty wild ways that AI is starting to teach itself to be smarter right on the fly.
So let's start with a question that really gets to the core of it. How in the world can a model like ChatGPT learn a totally made-up language or pick up a very specific writing style, like instantly, just by seeing a couple of examples? I mean, it seems like magic, right? But it's not. It's this incredible capability that shows us how these AIs are really starting to think.
Well, that trick has a name, and it's the key to understanding how these massive models are so darn flexible. It's called in-context learning.
So what exactly is in-context learning, or ICL for short? Put simply, it's the AI's ability to figure out a new task right there on the spot, just from the examples you give it in your prompt. And here's the really crucial part. This doesn't happen during some long, drawn-out training process in a lab somewhere. It happens during inference, which is just the fancy word for when you're actually using it. The AI adapts without its brain being permanently rewired. Okay, the easiest way to think about this is the classic pop quiz. Imagine you show a student 3 examples of a new kind of math problem, with the solutions right there. Most of the time, they can spot the pattern and solve the 4th problem on their own. That is exactly what the AI is doing. It's learning by example in real time.
Okay, but here's the catch. This basic version of in-context learning, it's not perfect. As researchers quickly found out, its performance can be all over the map. Sometimes it works like a charm, other times it just completely falls flat. This high variance makes it unreliable, especially when you give it a task that's way different from the stuff it was originally trained on. So, the big question became, how do you make this reliable?
And that, of course, brings us to the first major breakthrough, a technique built to fix this exact problem. It trains the AI not just on information, but on the skill of learning itself. It's called Meta-ICL. The idea here is just brilliant. Instead of just throwing the entire internet at a model and hoping it accidentally figures out how to learn, researchers decided to explicitly train it on the skill of learning. Think of it like putting the AI through a boot camp designed to make it an expert at spotting patterns from just a handful of clues. You can literally think of it like sending the AI to a study skills workshop. During this special training, it gets hit with a task from this huge pool of over 140 different kinds. Then it's shown a few examples, and finally, it gets tested on one last problem, and its core programming, its parameters, get a tiny little tweak to make it better at that process. And it does this over and over and over again until it becomes a total pro at learning from context. So, does it work? Is all that training worth it? Well, the results are kind of shocking. I just want you to look at this number. 8 times. What on earth could that mean? Get this. It means that a model with this special Meta-ICL training, a model that is 8 times smaller, can actually perform better than a massive standard model like GPT-J on these in-context learning tasks. That's just wild. It shows it's not about the size of the model, it's about the learning strategy. A huge, huge win for efficiency.
Okay, but you know what? The story gets even weirder. Just when we thought we had to go through this whole special process to train AI to learn better, researchers stumbled onto something even more profound. A way for the AI to teach itself this skill, with zero special training, just on its own.
They call this phenomenon meta-in-context learning. And this is where it gets a little mind-bending. This improvement happens inside a single conversation. The AI's ability to learn literally gets better and better as the conversation goes on. By showing it a series of different, unrelated tasks, you're basically warming up its learning circuits, making it sharper for the next problem you throw at it.
So let's go back to our student. Remember the study skills workshop? That was Meta-ICL. That happened before the exam. This is different. This is like a student who gets a pop quiz in history, then one in math, then one in science. And by the time they get to the literature quiz, they start picking up on the teacher's patterns, right? They get a feel for how the questions are structured, and they adapt their whole strategy on the fly.
So let's see what this looks like in practice, okay? Imagine we're just talking to an AI in one continuous chat. First, we give it task 1, a super simple pattern where one number is double the other. Then, right away, in that same chat, boom, task 2, something totally different, a completely unrelated pattern. The AI has to completely shift gears. And you just keep doing this, one task after another. And here's the wild discovery. By the time the AI gets to that final task, its ability to learn that new pattern is dramatically better than it was back at task 1. The earlier tasks acted like a warm-up. It's not about the content, it's about the exercise of learning itself.
Okay, so we've got these two really powerful, but very different ways that AI can learn how to learn. Let's put them side by side so the difference is crystal clear.
All right, let's break this down. On one side, you have Meta ICL. This is a special training process, that study skills workshop, that happens beforehand and permanently upgrades the AI's core programming. On the other side, you've got Meta in-context learning. This isn't training at all. It's a skill that just emerges while you're talking to it. It's the student adapting during the exam with no permanent changes. So one is a permanent upgrade, the other is a temporary, in-the-moment boost. Both get you to a much smarter, more adaptable AI.
So, okay, this is all really cool tech, but why does it actually matter? What's the big deal here?
Well, the implications are actually enormous. This research is creating AI that's way more adaptable and efficient. It means we don't have to do costly, slow retraining for every little new task. And like we saw, these methods can actually match or even beat the performance of traditional models. But this is the big one. It's a fundamental shift. We're moving away from teaching an AI what to know, and we're moving toward teaching it how to learn.
And this quote from one of the research papers just nails the endgame. The goal is an AI that adapts to you, your job, your world, not because somebody retrained it in a lab, but just through its interactions with you. An AI that truly, genuinely learns as it goes.
And all this leaves us with one kind of mind-blowing question to think about. We've just seen that an AI can be taught, or can even teach itself, the fundamental skill of learning. So the question is, what's the next fundamental skill it's going to teach itself? Thanks for tuning in.